What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial, back with another movie review. Creed 3 is going to be out in theaters this weekend, so we're going to go back and talk about all six Rocky films and the first two Creed movies before the third one is released. I've already talked about all six Rocky movies. If you guys haven't seen my review for those, I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can watch them. But today we are continuing on talking about Creed that came out in 2015. Let's get into this. Now, I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but I thought for real this time we weren't going to get any more Rocky movies. After Rocky Balboa came out, not only was it a great movie, but it was a fantastic way to conclude the franchise. So it definitely surprised me when they said they were going to do a spin off of Rocky focusing on Apollo Creed's lost son. I was pretty worried about this project, as for many others. However, at the same time, I was pretty intrigued about it because while I was overall satisfied with how the Rocky movies ended, I still felt a bit upset with how they ended Apollo Creed's character in Rocky 4. This could be their way to have a proper closure with Creed. Also, seeing the talent involved. You have Michael B. Jordan playing Apollo's son, Sylvester Stallone returning to play Rocky, Tessa Thompson, and you have Ryan Coogler, the director of Fruitvale Station, helming this project. Now, of course, we know he goes on to direct Black Panther, but this was before that came out. So I couldn't help but be a little intrigued about this movie. And to everyone's surprise, this movie was incredible. And I argue to say that this is probably the best film of the entire Rocky franchise. Yeah, I'm going there. Yes, I still love the first three Rocky movies, but something about this film felt special. Not only did it add to the legacy of the Rocky films, but it did a great job carving out its own lane and be a great film on its own. Ryan Coogler did an excellent job directing this movie. You felt his flavor all over this film, but still filming in line with the previous Rocky films. I said in the previous reviews that I love how much character they put into the city of Philadelphia, and this was no exception. Coogler did a great job inserting some flavor into Philadelphia. You felt like he really understood the culture and community. I loved Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed. I really felt for his character, and I appreciate that they didn't try to make him an exact reflection of Apollo, or Rocky for that matter. He was his own character with his own complicated upbringing. We find out that Apollo actually stepped out on his wife and had Adonis with another woman. Apollo died before Adonis ever got to know him, and his mother died not too long after that. So Adonis has been going from foster care to foster care until he gets caught with the law and serves in juvie. Wow, that's pretty dark, actually. That's when Apollo's wife Marianne decides to bail him out of jail and raise him as her own. Adonis, growing up with so much anger and bitterness, decides to become a fighter, but wants to make a name for himself without the legacy of his father. Though without Marianne's approval, he decides to move to Philadelphia and find Rocky Balboa to help him train to become a boxer. In this movie, you really felt like Adonis has a chip on his shoulder, people holding him to the standard from being the son of Apollo Creed, but he never really cared about that because he never knew him. He grew up with nothing and he was abandoned. He never wanted handouts. Every opportunity he had, he made for himself. In a way, you understand why Creed has such a temper and why he's so aggressive at times. That's where he has people like Marianne, Rocky, and Bianca to balance him out. I thought Felicia Rashad as Marianne was great. There's not a lot of her in this movie, but the time she was there was effective. Knowing that Apollo cheated on her and had a kid with someone else, she didn't have to take Adonis in, but she did, and you really felt like she cared for Adonis, not wanting him to follow in the same footsteps as his father and possibly sharing the same fate as him. Now let's get to Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. In my opinion, this is my favorite performance from him. Seeing him once again as the old grizzled veteran stepping in as the mentor for Creed, I thought was awesome. I felt like that was something they were trying to do in Rocky 5, but it ended up falling flat. In this, they built it up properly. We actually spend time seeing Rocky training Creed and progress to eventually becoming his manager. You really felt like Rocky stepped into the shoes of Mickey. What I also loved about Rocky in this movie is that he felt the most focused, and he had some of the most emotional moments we've seen from the entire franchise. He really compliments Creed in the movie, leveling him out and giving him words of wisdom. And I also love that he didn't overshadow him in this movie. He was still mainly focused on Adonis. I also love Tessa Thompson as Bianca. The romance between her and Creed was done beautifully. She has so much dimension as the love interest. Also, seeing that she goes through her own struggles, being an up and coming musical artist who's losing her hearing. I thought it was very compelling knowing that she has the disability, but not letting it stop her from going after her dreams. It's also great seeing that she challenges Creed in a healthy way. She doesn't take his bullshit. Whether it's dealing with his temper or being open about his past with his father, I really found myself rooting for them to stay together. The antagonist of the movie, Pretty Ricky Conlon, played by real life boxer Tony Bellew, I thought was pretty solid. I feel kind of similar to how I felt about Mason Dixon and Rocky Balboa. He's not an all out villain, but a heavyweight champion that has something to prove and not ruin his reputation, which I do appreciate. What I also kind of liked about Ricky was he kind of acted as a foil to Creed, being that they both really had tempers and aggression, and while Creed is being taught how to control and channel his anger, Ricky is the example of how you don't handle your anger in a healthy way, constantly getting into fights and injuring people along the way. Yeah, not very good for Ricky. Another thing I loved about Ryan Coogler's direction was the way he directs the fight scenes. This was some of my favorite fight scenes of the entire franchise. He once again, very similar to how Stallone did in Rocky Balboa, brought some intensity and realism to the fights, but at the same time adding some stylized flair to how it was shot. A lot of people go to Creed's first professional fight that was all done in one take, and of course that was amazing. I loved how that was shot. But I also liked the final fight between Creed and Ricky. I thought it was great. There's a lot of really good storytelling going on between the two. With Rocky and Bianca in Creed's corner as well, it also helped to enhance the emotion in the fight. What I also appreciated is very similar to the first Rocky film and Rocky Balboa. I like that it wasn't a definitive victory for Creed. It was mainly about him going the distance and proving that he is worthy of the Creed name. And that's what made him more relatable as a fighter. And of course, the movie can't be complete without an awesome training montage sequence. And this movie delivered. Am I going to go out on the limb and say that it's the best montage sequence? No, not necessarily, but it was still really good nonetheless. And Ryan Coogler once again puts his own flavor into the montage with the music and how it was shot. I love the sequence where Creed is running in the streets with the guys on the dirt bikes following him. It definitely did a good job of homaging the previous films. So yeah, overall, I love this movie. I thought it was a great installment of the Rocky franchise, and in ways, I think it's probably the best one we've gotten so far. Not only did it add to the legacy of the Rocky films, but it also did a great job just being a great film on its own. If you haven't seen the previous Rocky films and watched this, I still think you would really enjoy this movie. Of course, if you've seen the previous films, it will enhance your experience, but you don't need to with this film. It's still a great movie on its own. I thought Michael B. Jordan was excellent as Adonis Creed. I thought Sylvester Stallone was great as Rocky. I thought Tessa Thompson as Bianca was awesome. I thought Pretty Ricky was a really solid villain. I thought Marianne was really good as Adonis' mother. But yeah, all around, it's a fantastic movie. So I will give Creed an A. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Creed. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does it compare to the previous Rocky films? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. So, we're almost there. The next film we will be talking about is Creed 2. So tune in for that when it comes out. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all I have for you Rocky and Creed fans, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.